Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michelle Gordini, and I'm the Director of Business Development and Corporate Partnerships at the Ontario Long-Term Care Association. Welcome to this week's KnowledgeBREAK webinar. Today will be the second last webinar of this series, as OLTCA is going to be taking a break to prepare for its upcoming virtual conference, This is Long-Term Care, which is taking place on October 26th and 27th. We would like to encourage attendees to check out the program that includes over 35 breakout sessions, some stellar keynotes, and an inspirational closing concert. You can learn more about the event and register at thisisltc.com. Now, to kick off our webinar this afternoon, I'd like to start off by acknowledging our KnowledgeBREAK sponsors and sector partners, Plan A powered by StaffStat, Point Quick Care, BookJane, and Audra. We'd like to thank them for their partnership and their ongoing support of OLTCA. I'm delighted to introduce you to today's presenters. Please welcome Sophia Orose, Manager of the Ontario CLRI in Long-Term Care at Briere, Dr. Raquel Meyer, Manager of the Ontario CLRI in Long-Term Care at Baycrest, and Audra Thompson-Haile, Director of Strategic Projects at the Research Institute for Aging. Today's discussion will highlight free virtual tools that will help your long-term care home enhance the quality of life and work for residents and team members. Of course, through education, training, and free resources, the Ontario CLRI provides solutions to pressing issues facing long-term care and makes them readily accessible to the sector. This presentation will include an overview of the PSW Education Fund, the IPAC and Communication at End-of-Life e-courses, Alpha, and much more. With that, I'd like to pass it over to today's presenters.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for that great introduction. My name is Audra Thompson-Haile, and I am located at the Research Institute for Aging in Waterloo. So, sorry, Donnie, next slide, please. Before we begin today's presentation, we wanted to start by acknowledging the land on which we are presenting from. So while we are gathered virtually, we do have 3 host sites for the Ontario CLRI program. Baycrest is situated on the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Huron-Wendat people's land, and we recognize the current treaty holders, the Mississauga of the Credit First Nation. Briere is situated on the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation, and the Research Institute for Aging, where I'm presenting from, is situated on the Haldimand Tract, land that was granted to the Haudenosaunee of the Six Nations of the Grand River and are within the territory of the neutral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee people. And you may live and work in different territories, and we encourage you to reflect on the land in which you are located. Today, these places remind us that our great standard of living is directly related to the resources of this land and the friendship of the Indigenous people. Next slide, please. So the Ontario CLRI program, as Michelle noted, is funded by the Government of Ontario. And as I just shared in our land acknowledgement, is hosted at 3 sites. So today you'll hear from each site. My co-presenter, Raquel Meyer, is the manager of the Baycrest site in Toronto. Sophie Orose is my other co-presenter today, located in Ottawa at Briere, and I am located in Waterloo at the RI. Next slide, please. So what do we do as the CLRI program? So really, we act as a resource for the long-term care sector to enhance the health and well-being of people who live and work in long-term care homes across Ontario. And we do that by providing education and training, by sharing research and innovation, and by identifying and developing resources for homes. Next slide, please. And so that's really why we're here today. We are taking the next hour to really highlight some of what we have to offer as a program. So today's presentation will provide you an overview of what CLRI resources, tools, and training opportunities you can access today, what the key elements or features of the offerings include, and where you can find these resources and tools. And I will note that the CLRI is a very large program, and we have tons of tools that you can seek out and learn more about, but we will just be focusing on these ones today. Next slide, please. So we wanted to start today by highlighting the PSW Education Fund and give you a little bit more information on what that is and what it entails. The PSW Education Fund is coordinated through the RIA site, and we'll give you a little bit more information about that now. Next slide, please. So what exactly is the PSW Education Fund? This is a fund that is funded through the Ministry of Long-Term Care to really provide continuing education and professional development for PSWs working in long-term care homes across Ontario. Now, while the name does suggest that it's only for PSWs, it's actually expanded to other team members working in homes, including registered nurses, dietary aid staff, resident support aides. Really, anyone that is engaging with residents directly is eligible to participate in these training opportunities. And so how does it work? Through the fund, we are providing tuition dollars to homes so that their team members can participate in 2 different training opportunities. The first being Excellence in Resident-Centered Care, which we refer to as ERCC. And the other option is called Living the Dementia Journey, which we call LDJ. And so within the fund, homes are covered for their tuition and also backfill dollars so that staff can attend and the home is not left finding resources to replace them. Next slide, please. So within the PSW Education Fund, as I noted, there are 2 programs that homes can partake in. The first is called Excellence in Resident-Centered Care, and really provides practical skills that will help enhance person-centered care for residents. The course also increases team member self-confidence, job satisfaction, and morale, which we know is huge, especially during the pandemic. ERCC has been developed by Conestoga College in partnership with the RIA and has been run for several years now. This year, we have shifted to a virtual format. So the training is offered online in a 1-day, 7-hour session that is facilitated by Conestoga College instructors. And the training focuses on 7 modules, including person-centered care, IPAC, safety and mobility, nutrition and hydration, self-care, working with others, and observational assessment. And of course, we have the link to learn more about ERCC specifically up there on the slide. Next slide, please. The second program we are offering through the fund is Living the Dementia Journey. And this is really an opportunity for team members to change the way they view dementia. It will enhance their knowledge in this area, and it will help them to provide better support to those living with dementia. Similar to ERCC, this is a facilitated 1-day training. It's 8 hours long, virtual, and it focuses on 6 modules. Participants will really help enhance their skills, or they will learn how to enhance their skills in relationship building to support those living with dementia through a compassionate and respectful lens. They will also learn strategies in how to recognize, interpret, and respond to personal expressions or behaviors. And again, the website for more information is listed there on the slide. Next slide, please. So how do you get involved in the actual fund? There's a 2-step process to signing up to participate in this program. The first is really visiting the website to learn more about both programs and choose one that you might want your team members to participate in. You can choose one or the other or both if that fits your home's needs. So how it works is the home registers and signs up, and then they're contacted with further information that they share with their team members. And then team members can go in and sign up for the sessions. We have tons of sessions. Each program is running 3 to 5 sessions every week from now until March. And they typically run Monday to Friday during the day, but there are some evening options on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and as well as a Saturday option each month to accommodate everyone's needs. And all you need to participate is access to the internet and a computer. Next slide, please. So in order to make the training feasible for homes, not only does the fund cover the tuition costs for each program, but it also covers backfill. So if you are sending a PSW for training, once they complete the training, your home will receive $25 per hour based on the training that they've selected, so that you can pay for a replacement team member to cover for them while they're attending the training. In terms of the participant level, everyone that completes either course receives a certificate of completion, one for LDJ or ERCC, that they can share in their networks or on their resume. And I mean, the end result is that students leave with more knowledge that will help them enhance the care that they provide to residents. Next slide, please. So next, I wanted to highlight a newer resource that we have available, which is our e-learning hub. And I'm going to specifically speak to some courses that we developed on IPAC. Next, please. So during the first wave of the pandemic, like the rest of the world, we had to reconsider how we were offering our training and education and shift to an online format. And so in May 2020, the Ontario CLRI launched its e-learning hub. And this is a hub where homes and team members and family members and care partners can go to access free courses online. We have in our course library currently, we have 20 English courses available and 10 courses. And all of these courses are developed using adult learning principles. They're all asynchronous, so not like the fund, which is a live workshop. These courses can all be done at the learner's time choice, pace, order in which they complete. It's all up to them. And they're all long-term care specific, which we think is obviously very important in this sector. So I won't share too much more information on this because we do have a dedicated presentation on the e-learning hub at the conference that Michelle mentioned. This is long-term care coming up, but you're welcome to check out and register for the site and browse through the catalog there. It's been very successful to date with over 5,000 users, and we've reached 429 homes across Ontario. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we wanted to focus within the Learning Hub. We have recently been working on and launched part of our IPAC series courses. So during the pandemic, there was obviously the need highlighted for more education and training in the IPAC space. So through consultations with the long-term care sector, we determined and narrowed it down to 7 courses that we thought would be most applicable and beneficial for those working in long-term care. Each of the courses that we have been working to develop within this series has been developed with consultations across our teams with subject matter experts relevant to the various courses, and also with input from those actually working as PSWs and nurses in the sector, so that we really have that end user perspective as we're developing the courses, as they will be ultimately those that are using them. Next slide, please. So the first 3 courses that we worked on that are actually available now free of charge on the e-learning hub include Breaking the Chain of Transmission. And this course is really focused on IPAC core concepts with applicable scenarios to long-term care specifically. So this course is the intro to IPAC. It's the required course that allows you to go on to all of the next courses. After completing this one, you don't have to do them in any order. You can pick and choose which ones are most applicable to you based on the role in which you are working. Each course is very interactive and really focuses on changing the behavior around IPAC practices. So it's not just knowledge, there's these interactive components that will get you thinking in a different way. So breaking the chain of transmission is the first course, as mentioned, and we currently also have IPAC considerations while supporting residents at mealtime, and IPAC while traveling to and from a long-term care home. So we heard a lot of that during the pandemic. People wanted that information about the considerations that they should be thinking through while traveling. We are currently working on the French versions of these 3 courses and plan to have those launched within the next month or so. Next slide, please. While those ones are up and running, we have the next 4 under progress, and these include IPAC while administering medication, IPAC while providing personal care specific to continence and pericare. These 2 we are hoping to launch in the fall, followed by the last 2 in the series, which are providing personal care with regard to bathing, dressing, and grooming, and IPAC considerations for while caring for those living with dementia. And as with the first set, we will be also offering those in French as they are launched. Next slide, please. So the next resource that I wanted to highlight was our orientation webpage. This is a page that has had thousands of views and visitors. So you may have seen it before, but we just wanted to draw your attention again to it. The purpose of the site initially was to provide orientation materials to those who were redeployed into long-term care. Sorry, Donnie, if you can advance the slide. Thank you. During the pandemic. So the target audience was resident support aides, students, nurses, even the military at the time. Anyone going into healthcare, into long-term care, for the first time. So the focus of the site remains the same and the target audience is the same. It's really a place where you can find curated materials that might help you in your home with the onboarding and orientation process for any new staff. Next slide, please. So as we've gone throughout the year, we've tried to reorganize this site to make it easy to navigate for those looking for these materials. So we have it sectioned off into 4 different areas, including foundational knowledge, communication and person-centered care, providing support to long-term care, and personal care. And what you'll find on this site is a variety of resources. So some of the resources have been created in-house. Others are direct links to other sites. We've really worked with everyone in the sector, in the long-term care sector, to find the most appropriate resources that will be helpful. And we can't thank all of the collaborators that helped us vet resources and get them in one local place. That was really invaluable. Next slide, please. And just a final note on this site is that we've also offered a French site, and most of the resources there are bilingual. And we've tried to identify the amount of time it will take to go through each section and each resource. And we would love any feedback on this site if you notice any gaps that you would like identified, or any further feedback as we continue to develop and make this site the most effective as we can. Next slide, please. Finally, I just wanted to highlight from the RIA site, our person-centered language initiative. Next slide, please. So we have been working on this initiative for several years, and really the initiative centers around putting people first rather than the diseases or the conditions that they may have, and really paying close attention to the words and language that we use when we're speaking about long-term care and about those that live in long-term care. We noticed during the pandemic, The language used by the media has not been favorable, and we are working hard to change that, not just in long-term care, but outside of long-term care. So we do have resources that you may use within your homes and with your team, including 2 e-courses. One is a person-centered language course for team members. We have heard that some homes are using this as part of their onboarding process, a module that team members are taking to get them set on that right foot and to use the most appropriate language as they enter the home. There's also a similar course geared toward managers and leaders in long-term care. We also have posters that you can request, you can download. We have hard copies that you can post in your homes that are available. And we have a commitment pledge that we are asking people to sign, to commit to using person-centered language. And we've recently just hit over 5,000 pledges, so we're quite pleased with that. We also have up and coming another resource in this space coming out that you can use. It will be an action-based word swap activity where team members or even family members or care partners have the opportunity to think about the words that they're using and look for swaps and really engage in that process. So look out for that. And with that, I will turn it over to my co-presenter, Sophie.
Thank you, Audra. In the next few slides, I will highlight a couple of activities led by our team at BREAK. And the first one is about sustaining a palliative approach. As the next slide shows, since 2017, we have been expanding our training for long-term care team members so that they can develop and practice fundamental skills in communication and understanding and supporting psychosocial aspects of palliative care. Ultimately, we are all here together with the goal to provide high quality end-of-life and palliative care in the homes. Over the years, more than 200 homes participated in our in-person training, which was co-delivered by Algonquin College. Please visit our website for our bilingual e-learning courses that Audra mentioned on the Learning Hub. And these e-learning courses include interactive case scenarios that reflect the reality of delivering care in the long-term care setting. If your home is doing in-house education sessions to refresh your team's approach to palliative care during even the pandemic, or if you're hiring new team members, you can use these handouts, presentations, e-courses, which are available on our website, and many of them in 2 languages. Those tools can augment any palliative training taken at college or as part of the learner's professional development. Next slide, please. So this year's Communication End-of-Life Training Fund builds on these very strong foundations. There are 2 options for learning for team members. In February and March, we will be offering a 1-day virtual training in English and French, as usual, covering tuition and backfill. And then the other option is our e-learning, which is always available to be completed at any time, and it has been very popular among team members and students. In addition to these training options, this year we are expanding into coaching and mentoring for the whole team. We are recruiting 25 long-term care home teams across the province that are committed to strengthening a palliative approach to care in their home. So let's look at the next slide, where we are looking at the collaborative projects roadmap. This is a very new activity and exciting component of the fund for 2 reasons. First of all, we designed this activity so that it offers tailored and flexible support to participating teams. What does flexible and tailored mean? This means that the coaching is aligned with the specific needs and capacities of each home that participates. A multi-stakeholder advisory group has been guiding our planning, and I would like to thank the OLTCA for their contribution. Secondly, homes will receive coaching from a group of organizations. Over the past months, we have been building collaborations with key content experts, including the Ontario Palliative Care Network, Champlain Hospice Palliative Care Network, several regional palliative care programs, the RNAO, and Pallium. We are excited that we have mapped what is already available for homes through these various organizations, and there is a lot. We have scanned websites and did many interviews. Marked as step 3 on this map, you can see that we will share this new knowledge of what is already available to your home through the CLRI website. Please watch the CLRI newsletter for updates. We have started to contact the 200 homes that had participated in COL training in the past to recruit the 25 homes to get coaching. Coaching and mentoring will run from November to March. Again, for each home, the scope will depend on their needs and ability to engage. I would love to receive an email from you if you have any questions or would like to learn more about this coaching opportunity. And as the next slide shows, we are going to talk about how this training has helped homes during the pandemic to maintain the quality of the palliative and end-of-life care. And this is long-term care on October 26th in the afternoon. Next slide, please. Moving on to the next topic, I would like to cover some ideas and tools available for your homes to look at a very important topic, diversity and inclusion. Next slide, please. For the past several years, again, we have been working with long-term care homes, our sector partners, like OLTCA, residents and researchers to co-develop tools that can support homes in their journey towards becoming more inclusive. These resources are tailored to the long-term care context, like everything else that the CLRI is doing. Resources are developed with the knowledge that experiences that influenced by individual circumstances, including language, ability, race, ethnicity, religion, spirituality, gender integrity, gender expression, sexual orientation, and socioeconomic status. So as you can see, we interpret inclusivity and diversity in a very broad manner. This work supports residents as well as team members' diversity. The Embracing Diversity Toolkit is available in English and French, and it provides interactive resources with print and online components. It's downloadable, and it is organized in 7 impact areas that span all aspects of operations, from human resources to policy planning to resident family engagement. The toolkit provides practical steps to nurture affirming communities, highlights promising practices, stories from your own homes, and we have developed a series of posters to complement the toolkit. And that's what I'm going to talk about next on the next slide. The toolkit has these series of 14 posters that is looking at very concrete situations and leverage the saying that a picture speaks 1,000 words. And indeed, we know that people remember vivid images well. So these posters are available to put up in your home, and each depict situations that those who are working in long-term care have witnessed or experienced themselves. For example, overhearing a colleague making a racist comment, or finding 2 female residents in a bed together. Situations are intentionally brief vignettes that often leave you with more questions than answers. The idea is to explore your initial gut reaction of the situation and then explore the questions you have and discuss. The posters come with a facilitation guide that you can use in small group settings. We also have welcome posters and golden rule posters. The welcome posters say welcome in the 40 most common languages spoken in Ontario, while the golden rule posters list the key guiding principle for in more than a dozen languages. a dozen religious, spiritual, and faith-based practices. Next slide, please. In the most recent edition, since 2021, is the Diversity and Inclusion Calendar, which is a web-based calendar that highlights dates with special meaning for the diverse populations that live, work, and visit long-term care homes. It includes the religious and spiritual days of significance, cultural celebrations, awareness, and health promotion days. And we are very excited to offer a printable format for 2022. The calendar includes links so that people can explore and learn more about these dates and why they are important for folks. This is really important if your organization is considering celebrating one of these days. Ensure, please, that the day is being honored in a respectful way, and you can explore the links in the calendar, as well as connect with the many local organizations that represent individuals of that culture or background, and they would be happy to engage. We have had lots of positive testimonials from long-term care homes in Ontario. I would like to read out one. I just wanted to say our team used your diversity calendar so much, from programming to education to social media to fundraising. It's become a staple in our planning work. Thank you very much, and I will pass it over to my colleague Raquel now. Oh, apologies, Raquel. One more slide I have is that we have a virtual forum coming up in February, and we encourage all of you to participate. It's going to be a great half day of discussing that every resident has a right to be themselves in their work, in their home, and everyone deserves to feel safe and included when they go to work. Thank you, Raquel.
Thanks, Sophie and Audra. I hope you're still with us. I see some questions are coming through for the chat, and we are going to have time to answer questions. So keep writing your questions. We'll get to them. That's for sure. So really happy to be here today. Wanting to share with you our new Learning Interprofessionally Healthcare Accelerator, LIFA. You may have formerly seen it as Alpha. We ran into a small trademark conflict, so we renamed to get over that hump. And so it's now called LIFA, and love to talk to you about that. Donnie, next slide, please. All right. So this is a software application that really offers an open digital world for learning that learners can explore, both team members and students. And it really is grounded in simulation and case-based learning. We developed this as a prototype with George Brown College and Ryerson University through an eCampus Ontario grant, and then we kept working at it and expanding it and using it in our internships. We've also had advisory groups with us along the way to provide input with representation from the sector. So that's been really helpful. So you can think of LIFA as a virtual practice accelerator. So if we go to the next slide, you'll see a screenshot of it. You could, in this time of COVID where orientation becomes quite challenging for team members, and you may not have capacity to buddy somebody for a couple of shifts or to have them preceptored in a particular way that you would normally like, you might think about LIFA as an alternative to offer virtual preceptoring, because this is a system that allows people to get feedback on the care decisions that they're making. And so it can be helpful for orienting new staff, and it can also be used for students. And so we are creating a student version as well as a team member version. For students, we're looking at offering this to the school so that they can have virtual clinical placements in long-term care, because we know that placements are tight and it's getting quite difficult. So this is an area of learning. It's a little different than a learning management system. There's much more exploration and self-directed learning that happens. There's instant feedback that is provided, and there are reward systems built in to foster and encourage knowledge, skills, and attitudes that we want to foster. So for example, we reward relational care decisions. So any kind of care activities or choices that people are making in the game are rewarded when they align with relational care, for example. The other foci that we have in the game are around safety. We want the basics covered. We want people to be safe, and we want our residents to be safe. And the third focus is really on teamwork. So that includes role clarity, being proactive with your teammates, and communication. So when you enter the game, you enter into a narrative. You will be caring for 8 residents as a learner, so 21 to 24 care scenarios. So you keep re-meeting the residents. And we have paired those scenarios with resources, many of them that you've seen Audra present in the orientation. Some of the e-learning modules from CLRI are there, including IPAC and Team Essentials, for example. And we teach a basic kind of 6-step process. You need to observe what's in front of you. You need to assess safety, risk, and urgency. And you need to get curious about what's happening. Find a way to understand what's happening from the resident's perspective and to personalize your approach. You need to intervene and consider the effectiveness of that action or intervention. And then you also need to communicate to your team. So it's kind of a repeated process that people are going through as they care for the 8 residents. So as I mentioned, there's a version for long-term care team members, and there's also a version for students. For our team members, we have 2 packages. We're focused on PSW, it's a 28-hour package, and then there's nursing, and it's a 31-hour package. There is limited backfill available this year to support your homes. If you are interested in having your team members who are newly hired, for example, within the last 6 to 9 months, or who are newly coming on board, if you'd like them to have some extra safe place to practice and get feedback, this is an option. We also provide technical support on a weekly basis where you can drop in and ask your tech questions. There's a ticketing system to get back to you. And it's also a touch point for educators in the home and administrators. And there's a dashboard for educators and administrators to see how your team is doing. So we're going to explain more about this at the This is Long-Term Care conference. So we hope you join us there. We're going to do a presentation and a demo and go into more depth there. So I'll leave that for now. Next slide, Donnie, please. So our Ontario Universal Resource app for long-term care has launched. It's now available on the app stores, so Apple and Google Play. Next slide. Thank you. And this is really a digital pocket card, and it is a synthesis, if you will, of kind of the best tools, the most succinct short videos that we have access to help people when they're in practice. If they need a refresher, a reminder, they can open up this app. It's like a digital pocket card. And so we wanted to include things around IPAC, for example, and we know that you can't really have paper copy tools anymore lying around with all our IPAC concerns. And so we wanted to really support people in the home. And so this is available for all staff, all team members. It's available to students, and it's available for free. It's tailored for long-term care by long-term care. So there's a wealth of reference materials, including care tips, short videos, guides. We have curated quality resources. There's also a calendar where we are able to promote events, webinars, educational events that are available to people in the sector. We have reference materials specific to COVID-19 care, such as donning and doffing, PPE, how to dress a resident living with dementia, how to properly wash your hands, and some of the various outcome measures, such as the geriatric depression scale. So we invite you to look at that as well. Next slide. Just a friendly reminder that we continue to offer Baycrest behavioral support rounds. So Next slide. And these rounds are open to all health professionals and students, and it's a learning forum where we review together leading practices in assessing and managing challenging responsive behaviors as demonstrated by individuals living with dementia. And this is very much meant to be practical, and so it's great for your clinicians who are direct care providers. Now, this is accessible through Zoom webinar, and the rounds are co-sponsored by the Baycrest Toronto Central LHIN Behavior Support for Seniors program and the Ontario CLRI itself. So feel free to join us. The next rounds are September 30th, and this one will be run by our mental health and community partners, and they're actually exploring an important topic around trauma-informed care. And the objectives are to build an understanding of what that is and to describe the principles of it and to understand how to apply that across the lifespan. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next slide where I believe we have some contact information. So there's a number of ways to get in touch with us. If you haven't yet subscribed to our Ontario CLRI e-newsletter, please do. It's quick and easy, and you'll get the latest in our resources and the educational opportunities that are available to your team members and to students entering into your spaces. Okay, so I think we have lots of time for questions today. Thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much, everyone. That was a great presentation, lots of terrific information. And I would just like to start by giving a shout out to the e-learning, which I've been doing on my lunch hours and really enjoying. Very engaging way of giving us the information. We've got a number of questions that have come in. I'll just do a few housekeeping items to start. The first one goes back to members wanting to know how they can get involved in the palliative care project. And Sophia, I wonder if you could speak to that, please.
Yes, thank you very much. Please send me a message at my email, or most easily, because the spelling of my name, it's easier, to info@clri-ltc.ca. So there are so many ways to connect with us. In the earlier slide, it was showing how to get in touch, and it will definitely get to us because, as my colleagues were saying, we have an excellent communication team, and so easy to reach us.
I put your contact information in the chat box for everyone.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
We also had a question around whether or not the information can be uploaded into outside learning platforms like Surge, and whether then they can be accessed through platforms that people are already using. Audra, I wonder if you could speak to that, please.
Yes, I can speak to that. So we are in conversations with Surge and working on an agreement, because we do know that a majority of homes are using Surge. So that is underway right now. But we haven't explored beyond that at this point, as the Elearning Hub is relatively new. It's just over a year old. Yes, I see Raquel just put her hand up as well, if you wanted to comment, Raquel.
Yeah, so we are uploading some of the e-learning now and doing the testing to make sure that you can access our e-learning through Surge. So it's forthcoming. And also we're integrating LIFA with Surge. So if you are a home that uses the Surge LMS and you'd like to have LIFA, it can be connected to your LMS, and that will be, I believe, mid-October at the earliest, I think, is when we'll be able to be doing that, so that if somebody's completing something in Surge, we'll know in LIFA, they don't have to repeat it, and vice versa. If they complete something in LIFA that you wanted them to do in Surge, it will be communicated between the two systems, and so that they won't have to repeat any material. And also the results of how they performed in LIFA will be shared into Surge, so that you'll know that things are completed.
And
That's great.
I
Thank you.
just add one other thing. Thank you, Raquel. If there are courses in the eLearning Hub that you would like team members to do, they do offer a completion certificate. So that's maybe a bit of a workaround for now, that they are able to present that to you to show completion.
Had a question around whether these resources are available to people who are not affiliated with a school or a long-term care home, and also whether they're available to families.
So I can speak to those up on the e-learning hub. All of those resources, while they're typically developed for Ontario long-term care homes and team members that work in them, they're really accessible to everyone at this point. Anyone can go there, they can register. You do have to complete a registration form to get access, but then they're freely available. Raquel, I don't know if you wanted to speak to the app and LIFA.
So the RLTC app, which is the digital reference card, is available publicly. So it's a public-facing app available for free on the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. So families and volunteers and RSAs, anyone is welcome to use that RLTC app. Currently, LIFA, we are working with homes and schools. The content is geared for students or team members, particularly PSW and nursing. This is kind of the pilot year for LIFA. Going forward, are there opportunities for family members to be in LIFA and to learn about long-term care? Certainly, that's a possibility in the future. This pilot year is a bit more limited though.
Thanks, Raquel. Question about accessing the education and resources for the 2 education sessions on living with dementia and excellence in resident care. I wonder if you could run through the ways that people can access this.
Sure, Judy. I usually drop the website just for quick reference into the chat for people. So basically just visit the PSW Fund LTC.ca website. You'll find all of the information there that you need to enroll. You can, there's a big orange button for each program that allows you to sign up, and then everything, all of the steps will be communicated to you via email. You're also welcome to go to the contact section and reach out directly to the team running that program, and they can help you get signed up, answer any questions. We think we've streamlined the process, but always there to support in that.
And following up on that, we have a question about which team members are eligible to participate in the PSW training fund. Is it only PSWs, and how many people per home are eligible?
So in terms of team members, PSWs are our main target. We are within the fund hoping to use those resources for 80% of PSWs, but it can be RSAs, it can be RPNs, it can be RNs, it can be dietary aides, it can be people working within the environmental services, housekeeping. Anyone who is having that interaction with residents would benefit from the training. So it's open to all. And in terms of number per home, so when you complete the enrollment form, we ask you how many spaces you would like to have. So you may request 20. I want to train 20 team members. You may request 50. We have some caps on homes, that have maybe 600 team members, but we're very flexible with how many. So if you were a small home of 50 and you wanted to train everyone, that's definitely a conversation that our team would reach out to you to confirm that. So I want to say unlimited, but there are some parameters around that. The more, the merrier.
Great, thank you. I'm sure you'll have people following up afterwards for more information. And on that, if I could ask you to please put your emails in the chat box for any one-on-one contact that people would like to have after, that would be appreciated. We did note we've had quite a few requests for the recording and people wanting to share with their teams. And so we will be putting out the recording of this session in next week's OLTCA newsletter. If you're on today's webinar and not a member, please send us an email to membership@oltca.com and we'll make sure that you get a copy as well. So that's been great information, just a really comprehensive presentation of all the resources that are available, and so good to see all the supports that our sector has from you to help with education and understanding and support. On that, I will turn back to Michelle to wrap up today's session. We may have lost her on mute there.
Hey, Judy.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you again to today's presenters, the CLRI and RIA. We'd like to acknowledge and thank our sector partners, Plan A, powered by StaffStat, Point Click Care, BookChain, and Arjo. Again, we want to remind everybody to join us next week for our last KnowledgeBREAK webinar in this series. And we again want to encourage you to register for This is Long-Term Care at thisisltc.com. Thanks very much, everybody.